All right. Good evening, everyone. Um, I'm just going to, start it off right at the very beginning. I'm not always the best and most comfortable public speaker. The last time I presented in front of people was at my best friend's wedding back in February. I was the MC for the ceremony. And let's just say that I was standing about this distance away from him and his bride, his wife to be, and they were talking to each other, or mumbling in very low sounds as I was talking, and it completely threw me off guard. And in the most gentle and kind way possible, I gave them the death stare. And they learned that they should not be talking when I'm talking, because it just completely threw me off. And I had the script in my hands, but it just didn't go well. So I went. I was lucky enough to go to the Write the Docs conference that was held in Portland, Oregon, back in May. I remember I was actually sitting in one of the sessions at that point in time, and I sent a quick message to Swapnil. And I'm like, "Hey, I'm here. Guess what? Guess what? I'm here." And at first he thought I was pulling his leg. I'm like, no, I'm really here. And so when I came back, Swapnil and I are actually colleagues. So he asked if I could make a quick wrap-up or summary or presentation of what happened in Portland. So this is my best effort. So before we get started, just a little bit about myself. Currently working as a technical writer. I've got three plus years experience doing that. And yes, I work at NBN or NBN Co. Don't come and ask me anything about your internet. Nothing whatsoever, because even I don't even understand what's happening. Throughout my work life, I've been lucky enough to work in a range of different industries, ranging from telecommunications, utilities, manufacturing, and fast-moving consumer goods. I have 2 degrees. One of them is engineering. So I've worked prior as an engineer in different capacities, but also as a project lead and project coordinator. And I've got about 6+ years experience doing that. In my spare time, I try and be, as best as possible, a mentor to youth with varying successes. And according to my niece and nephew, that's who I am. All right, so a little bit more about me and large crowds. I don't know how many of you may have noticed when I walked into the room earlier, but I'm not the best or most comfortable when it comes to being in this is not a large crowd, but I'm not the best when it comes to being in a room with people who I don't know, effectively strangers. And it's no means of disrespect towards yourselves, it's just who I am. I find it difficult to actually make that first step and actually go and mingle. So I'm sometimes the loner. So when it comes to large crowds like this, I'm okay when you're sitting down. But as soon as people stand up and they start talking amongst themselves, amongst their friends, colleagues, and people they've just become friends with, or contacts, acquaintances, I'm like going, where can I go and hide? Where's that corner? Can I just go and hide in a room? Anyway, so situations like this, I really should just have a big sign on my face that says this. Because that's pretty much what I am. I'm a borderline introvert. I'm not all the way down there, but I'm relatively close in the middle, but I'm still an introvert. So, yes, more about me and large crowds. I am an introvert. I become scared. I become uncomfortable. I sometimes ask I ask myself, I talk to myself going, where can I go and hide? A little bit difficult when you're 6'4", and you're taller than the average Joe. So sometimes I like to go and phone a friend, and this happened in Portland. This was the first day, and I'd attended the first formal session, and this session was dedicated purely for the people who had attended the Write the Docs conference for the first time. There were people there that had attended in prior years, but this particular session was just for people who were there for the first time. I didn't do it. I couldn't do it. I walked out the room, went into another room, called one of my best friends here in Sydney. We've been friends for about 20 years. And I'm like, Shader, I can't do this. And she's like, what? So, she knew I was in Portland for the conference. I told her what was happening, pretty much what I've just, above here. And she's like, Shamim, you need to do this. You have to go and do this. Yes, I know you don't like it. Yes, I know you're uncomfortable, but you have to go and talk to these people. Even if it's just 2 people, you don't have to talk to all 100. Just go and talk to 2 people. Find 2 people and go and talk to them. I don't know how, but I actually went and did it. So, the question is, why did I attend? Why did I go to this conference? Why did I travel halfway across the world to, attend this conference? Believe it or not, before I actually applied for the job that I have now, I'd never heard of the profession technical writer. I didn't know what it was. I came across the job advert, had a look at the key objectives or key essential requirements. I'm like, yeah, I can do all that. What the hell is a technical writer, though? My boss doesn't even know. But, so I basically, in my own mind, I'm going, well, it has to be something. There's a reason why I have the job that I have. There's a reason why other technical writers that I've met at NVN and here at some of the meetups, they've got jobs for a reason. It has to be a real thing. But at the same time, I wanted to know more. What is it really? What really is technical writing, or how far can it go? Because in some respects, I feel as though that I'm sort of, very isolated in terms of what the world of technical writing can be, or document writing. So I decided to, go there and, take a look. Swapnil had gone to the one in Prague last year, and I said, well, yeah, Portland's coming up, why not? What interested me about this conference was that this was a conference purely aimed at technical writers. Sure, a few other people who had similar sort of job profiles were more than welcome to attend, the more the merrier, but this was just for tech writers. During my time, I've seen conferences for scientists of different fields, lawyers, engineers, doctors, you name it, it's there. But technical writers hadn't seen it. So when I saw this, I'm going, hey, this could be a great idea. Another reason why I wanted to go was I wanted to be able to learn, or at least be exposed to new styles, new tools, new ways of doing things that I don't have the opportunity to be exposed to right now in my current job. I also wanted to try and get over being an introvert. I had varying success. Then again, I love to travel. One of my friends in Melbourne, she goes, you're a very good traveler, in terms of she knows that I do stupid things. I take red-eye flights to get to places. And she just knows that I love to travel, and I do it. And, since Donald J. Trump is now the President of the United States, I really want to see how high this wall was. Anyway, so some of the demographics. The people who I interacted with, this is rough percentages, but majority of the people, so people that I spoke with, they were from the Pacific Northwest, so about 30% of the people I spoke with were there. So from pretty much the Portland or the Oregon area and Seattle, Washington, that northwestern corner of the United States. About half the people I spoke to were from California, primarily Los Angeles and the Bay Area and San Francisco. Then I spoke to some people from the East Coast, from Washington, D.C. and New York City. And I also came across other people from Texas, Kentucky, and one other place that I can't remember now, probably Michigan. On the first day, I bumped into another overseas traveler. This guy was visiting from Argentina. I learned that there was one of the speakers, he was actually from Russia. He'd actually flown from Russia for the conference to speak. And then there was me, the Aussie. What I found interesting was that they were not just tech writers. They were editors as well. Were software programmers and developers, people who work primarily in customer support, engineers were there as well, and also marketers. So I was surprised at the wide variety of different professions that were there. The speakers, as I said, all but one of them was based or is based in the United States, and there were 27 speakers in total. One of the speakers, he actually works for HBO. And he stood up on the last day of the conference, and he was scheduled to speak on the last day of the conference. And he proudly, I don't know if he was being serious, but he proudly stated that he's never watched an episode of Game of Thrones. None of us believed him. Either that or what rock has he been hiding under? Anyway, so some of the topics that that people presented on were the relationship between code and documentation, how to seek is that on this? Yes, it is. Sorry. How to seek effective feedback, minimalist, being a minimalist, principles of that, good documentation versus bad documentation, how to manage tech writers, and design principles when it comes to effectively website design. I'm going to show you a list of some of the talks that the speakers made, and these particular talks, these were the ones that actually resonated with me in terms of I actually felt as though that not so much that the speaker was talking directly to me, but I felt as though that this is one of the reasons why I came to the conference and I wanted to be able to listen and see this. So one of them was testing. It's not just for code anymore. I've written code. I'm not strong at it, but I've done it before, both at uni and at work. But, programming, there's obviously you'd like to not have errors, but you will find them and you have to try and debug it. But there can be similar sort of bugs and errors, ambiguities, whatnot in documentation. You have already succeeded. Design critique guidelines make feedback easier. So if you've already, as Rebecca was going earlier, if you can ask the correct questions, if you can guide your audience or ask them what you want to know, then you will actually get the information that you need. And this can be very helpful when it comes to providing feedback and being able to develop and build a document. Caring systems. Document as care. Documents, they're very important. If you think that they're useless, then look, more times than not, you might write a manual that, for a software or for a kettle. The user is not going to read a manual for a kettle. They might. Who knows? They might. I remember I read the manual for my refrigerator a couple months ago because it wasn't actually refrigerating. So I had to try and troubleshoot it. And my housemate was just yelling in my ear, and I really wanted to turn to him and look, John, shut up. I'm trying to fix this. But I couldn't. But yes, they do play an important part. Building navigation for your doc site, the 5 best practices. If the reader or the user of your website or the person who goes to your website cannot find the information that they need, then they're not going to enjoy themselves. They're not going to be able to find the help they need. And they may not think very highly of you or your company. The number of times that I go to a website and I can't find the search button, it frustrates me. Well, not the search button, the search field, basically. It frustrates me. The number of times when I go to a website, I'm trying to find the contact number of this company. Optus is the worst. Error messages. Being humble, human, and helpful will make users happy. One thing which I've learned as working with tech writers during the last 2 to 3 years is that we may think that we are correct. We might come across as a little bit as arrogant. But at the end of the day, we have to know and we have to believe in ourselves. We have to know that we are human. We are prone to making mistakes. And if we do not lower ourselves to that position of where we believe we are right, but we'd like someone to review it, then it's not going to be a great team environment, and some things may even be missed in the document, or just information may even be wrong in the document. All right, so on the first day, there was this thing that they called writing day. So I didn't really know what to expect of it, but it definitely was no holiday. We had to choose a topic of interest and sit down and discuss with complete strangers our chosen topic of interest. Some of these topics range on the content of along the lines of open source software documentation, general document writing, blog posts, tips and tricks, and great works of fiction. So basically, you just sit there and have a discussion, and you try and build on what that person who has actually started that discussion. So basically, you go there, and there's about 15 odd tables, and each table has one discussion point, and you choose the table that you want to go to and be involved in that discussion and collaboration process. Some photos. The conference is held at the Crystal Ballroom in downtown Portland. I believe it's been held there ever since its inception from about 4 years ago, I think. It's a very quaint and old-looking style building, and the interior shows that it is. I wouldn't say it's been restored, but it's been looked after to be able to maintain that old school look. Sorry, that old feel look. However, the floorboards. You're laughing. You've been there before. When people walk on them, it's almost like you're on a ship in the middle of the ocean. I really wanted to go and buy motion sickness pills. Especially on the first day, I thought that there was something seriously wrong. But apparently they cannot fix them, or they do not wish to fix them, but it's perfectly safe. So this is just a photo of some of the discussion groups where you sit down and actually talk to people, which can be fun. Breakfast and lunch is served and provided for free of charge. It's included in your registration fee. I didn't know that at the time. I found out after I've actually registered and then looked at the program. And I thought it would just be a box of cereal, some milk, and an apple for breakfast. But it was quite substantive. This is obviously a photo of lunch, but they didn't hold back on their lunch either. They also provided morning and afternoon tea included, and once again, it wasn't just one or two items. It was quite good as far as the catering goes, and no extra charge to you. This I found really interesting. For those of us, I don't really like making a racist comment, but I am from Melbourne, so I'm a coffee snob. Americans don't know how to make coffee. So avoid the brewed coffee as best as you can. I was very happy that I found 2 cafes in Portland that for the 3 days that I was there, I was able to frequent and get some decent coffee because I would have struggled. And finally, this is the group photo that's taken on the second day of the conference. You won't see me in the photo. I actually was not there at that point in time. They've got this wonderful thing called unconference. And for me, this goes back to being a little bit arrogant and thinking I'm right. Me thinking, well, unconference. Is that even a real word? One thing which I know I do with my colleagues is that we make sure we tell them this is a real word, this is wrong, this is the correct spelling, you can't write this, you can write this, this is ambiguous, but and you can't make up words. But here we are as tech writers, we've gone and created a word. What is unconference? It's basically informal discussions where it's completely not in the same ballroom. It's not in that ballroom where the actual conference is held. It's held in a completely different floor of the building, of the complex, you can call it. And it's low-key casual discussions, very informal, about various topics. And what I love most about this conference is that the power is in your hands. It's sure there's the organizers that run the show, and they've planned it, and they've planned it really well. But it's there for you. If you want something out of it, and you want something out that's actually going to directly help yourself, this is where you can do it. You write down what you want that person on, you paste it on, and you make sure that you're at your designated table at your time, and people will come. People even advertise jobs there. I'm looking for this person, I'm looking for that person. Or, hey, I need a job, hire me. But basically it's also there, if you've got a problem, you sit there with other people who might have experience in that field, or, and you can nut it out, brainstorm ideas and try and find a solution. Free stuff. So you get a complimentary t-shirt, which I have not brought tonight because I didn't really want to wear it whilst I was presenting. But yeah, you get a free t-shirt. And as I learned on the last day, they ordered too many t-shirts. So if you wanted more than one, you can get more than one. My suitcase was pretty packed, and I was going on to 2 other destinations as far as my holiday goes. So I wanted to leave some space in my suitcase for actually buying stuff. But yes, you can get t-shirts, bookmarks, and stickers, which Swapnil has already mentioned. So I brought them from Portland for you guys. And you also get some notebooks as well, some pretty cool notebooks. All right, so what did I take away from this conference? Obtaining feedback from your target audience is crucial. And I say that because if you're writing for them and they can't understand what you've written, or what you've written is not what they want, then it's going to be useless to them. Poorly written documents are perilous. Once again, if it doesn't make any sense, if it's 50 words instead of 10, or if it's a load of mumbo jumbo, it's not going to be helpful. Network, network, network. Now, I didn't talk to that many people because I am, after all, an introvert. But the people who I spoke to more than once, they gave me their business cards. Now, during my years of work, I've only ever had one job where my boss has said, here you go, Shamim, here's your business card. NBN is not one of those jobs where I have a business card. So they gave me their business cards, but I had nothing to give them back. Sure, okay, fine, let's connect on LinkedIn. And I'd heard of Slack before, but I wasn't a member. But I signed up there and I connected with a couple of people there. So what I've learned for next time I go to a conference like this or any kind of networking gig, I'll print off my own business cards. It doesn't have to say NBN on it. It doesn't have to say the company I'm working for. Have my own details on it, and that should be enough. Have an open mind and go there with zero expectations. Allocate extra days to your itinerary to be a tourist. I went to Portland. I was there for literally 2.5 days, or I'll be the nerd that I am. 2 days and maybe 16 hours. I didn't see much of Portland. Who knows, I might go there next year. Prepare. What I mean by prepare, this is where you're allowed to laugh. Read all these books because you'll need them. All right, where can we get more information from? So at the start of the meetup, Swapnil put up this website for the Write the Docs homepage. So you can get a lot of information there about what happens both here in Australia but also around the world. If you want to see the conference on video, this is the YouTube link. Obviously, YouTube links are never really friendly, but then again, I should have been the tech writer that I am and stopped it after the capital I, but I didn't. I blame him. That's the link he sent me. But yeah, it's what's really great about the Write the Docs conferences is that they record all the speeches, so that if you've missed something, you're sitting there and you're taking down notes, you've missed something, you can always go back and listen to it again and write in and fill in those blanks. Or if you've missed a session like I did, 2 or 3 here and there, you can go back and watch it again and learn what you didn't learn because you weren't there. And in the words of the head honcho at Write the Docs, we still have no idea what we're doing. That's it, guys. Any questions?
Awesome. Thank you very much, Shamim.